Okay, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we've got a full day of daylight street photography. And as we do with these POVs, we've got the GoPro sitting on the backpack, and we're gonna basically take you around Toronto today. We're gonna go to 3 different areas. First one, we're gonna start things off on Bloor Street, which is like Toronto's sort of like shopping street. It's really nice. A lot of designer shops, a lot of people around. And then we're gonna take it over to Kensington Market, which is this sort of graffiti-filled area that usually has a lot of people around. Some days it's a hit or a miss, so I'm hoping today it works out. And then the third location, we're gonna see where we end up. We might not have enough time for it depending on how things go. It's already 1:30 in the afternoon, so it's perfect conditions for daylight photography, but it just might get a little tight with some things going on tonight. So the main thing we're going to talk about in today's video is going to be some tips and tricks on how to improve with your street photography. All of that we're going to be doing as a voiceover. So if you are looking for kind of some guidance, you're a new photographer, a new creator, looking to get better with your camera, then this is going to be the video for you. So for the kit today, we've got the Sony A1, which remains like my go-to camera of choice. I've got the Sony A7 IV as my B cam, but this thing has been around now for about 4 years and does not let me down. And for the street photography lens, we've got the 24-70 f2.8, which some people will say is cheating, but I personally keep the focal length at around 35 millimeters, 50 millimeters at times, only go to 70 when I'm like super desperate. And we'll see what we can get. The main thing that I want to capture today is more street portraiture. Because we have daylight, this means we can shoot at a high shutter speed and get a lot of people in motion. And I'm using the everyday filter from Polar Pro that's in collaboration with Short Stash. So we've got a polarizer on the lens with an added mist for some nice sort of nostalgic feeling photography. Because a lot of times with this sort of daylight look, it allows you to really pump in some of those yellows and teals into your edits. And that's gonna be able to give you that sort of more vintage style, which Toronto, in my opinion, looks best with. So with that, we're going to hop on in to the POV side of things and see what we can get.
So kicking things off at the entrance of Yorkville here, which the first thing I see is a classic car, obviously a Porsche. And if you know me, you know my street photography, you know that I'm not afraid to stop for a nice looking car on the street. And that's going to lead us to the first part of today's video. Some tips and tricks that I can provide you is when you're looking at, capturing vehicles, even if it's not your own, always look to capture sort of the more interesting angles and things that you can. So the big thing that I look for is this shot here, which is a 45-degree angle off the front. This way I can sort of show the car in the space that it's in, which is this sort of modern take, modern old contrast environment that the car is in, which is really cool and really fitting for this vehicle especially. Next one I look for is that head-on perspective of the headlight. You can get a high depth of field, and then kind of a few detail shots I can go for after that. So obviously the Porsche badge there looking so good on the front of this classic. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just walk around to the car and then grab those interior photos of the steering wheel just to kind of have a different angle of the vehicle. So had some fun there. I think that car was meant for a wedding. And then just down the street was a Lamborghini that I'm not really a fan of. I don't really like Lamborghinis. They're not really my thing. But when you see one, you got to grab the photo. And that led me into finally the street portraiture that I was wanting this whole session to be wrapped around. So that'll take us to maybe the second thing that I would recommend for somebody if they're looking to improve at their street photography is when you're in an environment with a lot of people, it's always good to make sure you're kind of just taking as many street portraiture photos as you possibly can. And the reason why is because most of those street photos aren't going to be that incredible. You're going to get a lot of street portraiture where maybe someone's facial expression's a little bit off, or maybe they're not really standing in the area that you want to. But it's more about not shying away from the opportunity, like this shot right here. This is probably one of my favorite shots of the day just because of the candid nature of it. It's less so about, shying away from opportunities to take the photo and more so taking the photos as continual practice. If there's anything I've learned about capturing candid street portraiture, it's about learning how to put yourself in sort of lanes of being, or kind of like in the way. You have to be in the way of a lot of action happening on the streets to be able to grab those candid photos naturally. And then obviously along the way, you can get those detail shots as well. So this is where I'm going to say this part of the video is where I'm like hunting still for that shot that I can be proud of. Got that shot of the couple that I thought was pretty cool. That actually wasn't once I started editing it. So really this session is all about being on the hunt for those photos. And I'm going to say in this Yorkville area that usually has 1 or 2 shots I can be super proud of. I got a whole bunch that I liked, don't get me wrong, but it didn't really lead us. Like that one I would have really loved if it was actually in focus. And then this 3-parter here was me sort of making the most of the photos I had at hand and then combining them into that sort of 3-photo blend that I always do. Obviously architecture photography as we walk out of Yorkville. And then I saw this candid photo, which was a part of that 3-part photo just outside of Yorkville that I actually really, really liked outside of Italy, which is a great location for like patio photos or couples. And then that led me all the way down Bloor Street. So Bloor Street in Toronto, if you are looking for street photography, isn't actually necessarily the best place to go. That Yorkville area is kind of like the hub of action happening. But the one photo that I always like to take, at least once in a season, is this photo right here, just down the street, going all the way down with that Rogers Center in the background. I just loved the look over top of the bridge. So I wanted to capture that, and that basically took me down to the end of what Bloor Street had to offer before moving on into that next location that we're going to come to in just a bit.
All right, so that's going to wrap the first part of today's video. Overall, I'm going to give kind of street photography maybe an 8 out of 10. Obviously there was a little bit of trouble with pointing the GoPro in the right direction, but photos I'm pretty happy with. Got some cool video postcards as well, which is always a good thing. And so the next part for today's video, the location we're going to, it's actually Yonge and Dundas. Decided to change up our plans a little bit because we took longer on Bloor Street than I was actually expecting, just because of the distances to get to that sort of video postcard on the bridge. So instead, we're gonna go to Yonge and Dundas, see what street photography we can get down Yonge Street. There's always a lot going on around the Franz area, which if you don't know Toronto, that's like a famous breakfast restaurant in the city. And then from there, we're gonna walk across to U of T's campus, I'm thinking, and then back to where I parked my car. Overall, let me know what you're thinking about the street photos that we've been able to capture in the comments up until now. And yeah, let's jump on into some more POV.
So the next part of today's video is going to take us now to that Yonge and Dundas Square area. This is the Ryerson Student Building. Didn't really get the shot that I wanted there, but turning around immediately captured this candid photo of a fireman in the fire truck. Didn't get that shot on camera just because like the fire truck just blew past and I did a quick panning shot. The other photos that I took in this area were then at Ribfest. That was actually at Yonge and Dundas Square. So I managed to capture this cool photo of the guy cooking all the food on the barbecue, and then obviously just moving on to the staircase here. Got all these people. I don't know what I liked about this photo. I thought it was really cool, but there's something in that maybe it's all the people lining the staircase that I really liked, or just sort of all the action going on. And that kind of takes us to the next tip for today's video, which is like, how do you capture those candid sort of portraiture moments in such busy environments? And I generally like to fixate on a moment or something that I see that I can sort of single out, like this right here. I had the couple with the skewers. That's what caught my eye originally and then led me to get the photos. And similar to with this shot here, couple sitting at the table, but it led me to get a photo of sort of that restaurant area. And then as you find those little moments that you want to capture, that'll lead you to more down the road. So obviously another couple there. This shot here is more of a shot that I like to get when it rains. There's usually a puddle that forms here, but wanted to put it just to give you an idea of like what's possible with low angle perspectives. And again, singling out that there's a bike rider there, and then that's what leads to the photo. So it's not necessarily about finding yourself in sort of these picturesque environments that then lead to the photos, but more about finding a subject in an interesting environment that then sort of creates the story that you're looking to tell. The next part here is a art festival that was going on in front of City Hall, and I'm not really able to show too much of the BTS of the photos themselves. I can show the photos though as they were kind of happening. So managed to grab some sort of candid photos of the balloons, or I think that's cotton candy going on in the machine. I thought it was really interesting. And then there's a whole bunch of like art that was just going on and that I was trying to capture with my camera, but it was the end of the day. We've been walking for a long time, so just showing you the best of the candid photography, which took me all the way to the end of today's video, which was this concert that was going on in the middle of the square. I think it's Mel Lastman Square, and this band was unreal. Tons of people watching, tons of people just listening to music, and really just looking to capture like candid moments along the way. So whether that was people up on the stage area or the band itself that was playing, that's just all I was trying to do. I thought it was like a really fun and interesting moment to really tell the story of. So I'm really just going to put the highlights up on the screen with some BTS here and wrap up today's video. So I hope you enjoy the behind the scenes of the street photography on this sunny day. Shutter speed for a lot of this was definitely over 2000, super bright sun, super bright light. And then that's how I was able to get a lot of this sort of candid portraiture. So this is something I want to add in a little bit more of as the summer continues to go on. There's different locations in the city I want to travel to. Next POV you're probably going to see from me is maybe from Ottawa. There's for sure going to be a video from Ottawa. I'm heading there this weekend. And as I'm going, I'm actually a little bit sick right now, which is why my voice was probably a little off from what the original footage shot on the Osmo was. But I really appreciate you all from watching. That's why I filmed this one. And so I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks again for watching.